What's up, y'all, and thanks for stopping by the Surge T channel. I am Surge T, and tonight I'll be doing my video, my rundowns and thoughts on AEW Dynamite for the 15th of September 2021. Let's get to it. 13,191 fans are in attendance in New Jersey, where Dynamite is emanating from, and Punk is on commentary. No, not that Punk Taz, but I'm talking about CM Punk. And he's going to dive into the audience every stinking time. I get it. He loves the fans. The fans love him. But after a while, it's going to get annoying. But Punk gets to do what he got to do, right? Punk gets to do whatever he wants, so why not, I guess. Now, Adam Cole makes his AEW debut, goes against the Elite Hunter, Frankie Kazarian, and people are criticizing Frankie Kazarian, the Elite Hunter, but has he really taken out any of the guys? Is this going to be his gimmick? That's just going to be a gimmick? And during this match, which Adam Cole is just a machine. The guy's just crisp in the ring, just so incredibly just, you know what I mean? You kind of see the difference between him in NXT and then him in like in AEW, where he is on a grand scale now, you know, and you see him performing in front of a big crowd, and it's kind of good to see. And then JR, during this match, he says that the crowd was behind Kazarian, and Cole was looking to slow that down. And I'm like, no, JR, I don't know what match you were watching, but Cole had the crowd in the palm of his hand from the moment his entrance music hit. You know what I mean? If we're seeing one thing, don't try to turn it into something else. You know, I don't even think Kazarian even got any response. You know, but the match was very it's a typical of the kind of match that Adam Cole has. If you've seen him in NXT, if you've seen him even before he was in WWE, same thing here. He really just outclassed Kazarian. Kazarian was getting his offense in, but he was no match for Adam Cole. And Adam Cole attempted a Panama Sunrise before, but Kazarian put the brakes on, and he hits a really nice looking second rope leg drop off for a near fall. But then Cole does eventually hit the Panama Sunrise and hits the last shot and pins Kazarian in his debut match in AEW. And then he takes the mic and he says that three men have gotten under his skin, and that is Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy. And he challenges them to a six-man tag team match with him and the Bucks versus those three. And let's see, what is the response from Christian Cage and Jurassic Express? Speaking of Rampage, the World Tag Team Champs will face the Butcher and Blade. Is it for the titles? Didn't get that. But Butcher and Blade can use this to establish himself as the next contenders. Let's see during this program if that's going to be clarified as to whether or not it's going to be a tag team title match. And I tell you, Rampage is starting to look stacked, meaning a lot of matches are being added. And we get this, it's Fuego del Sol is down backstage. Alex Marvez is there interviewing him and his buddy Sammy Guevara. And he has a new car. He likes the new car. And Fuego then, I guess, a little bit of a challenge by Sammy. Sammy's kind of like going, would you be willing to put your car up? And he goes, he's like, yeah, I'll put my car up to get another shot at the TNT title. And he's going to do that. He's going to put his brand new car on the line. I guess you got to do what you got to do if you want to get that gold around your waist, and he wants the TNT title. So see what happens, see what Miro's response is. Now, MJF, spoke again. And he calls New Jersey the armpit of America. I've heard that before. And I always hear stories about how there's one part of New Jersey that smells like, smells like a sewer, you know, and he's not kind to the lovely ladies of the Jersey Shore and calls them skanks. Typical MJF. And then the crowd chants for him to shut the fuck up. He says no, and he doesn't care. This is an attitude that everybody should have. I have that attitude. I don't give a fuck what anybody says about me. I let it roll off my back. Like water off a duck's back, saying goes. And he looks to talk to loose cannon Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman, we all know, has passed away a long time ago. And he looks up, but then he goes, "What am I kidding? Who am I kidding?" He looks to the ground and he starts, as to say, "Hey, he's not up there. He's down here. He's not up in heaven. He's in hell." It's typical MJF. And then he runs down his widow, runs down his son, Brian Pillman Jr. MJF is on a roll. And then Brian Pillman Jr.'s music hits, but he is in the ring. He says Wardlow does MJF after him. Typical. I mean, we know what's going to happen. Brian Pillman ends up showing up behind him, and he attempts to hit him with a chair, but then Wardlow, takes it away. Day phase off, and he ends up getting away from both of them. They end up on the outside of the ring. Brian Pillman Jr. is in the ring, standing tall, and he's going to get him some of MJF at Arthur Ashe Stadium for the Grand Slam edition of Dynamite. And it's actually both on Dynamite and Rampage next week. So it's a whole week of the Grand Slam theme. And you look at the matches that they added this afternoon, during this episode. They showed the matches, and oh my God, it's like, that's something that I'm not going to miss. I'm sure you guys aren't going to miss it either, because it looks stacked. It really did. And, can't wait. Now, we see JR with an interview backstage, and he talks about how 28 years ago, he got a call from Brian Pillman Sr., and he told him that he has a son. Speaking about Brian Jr. and JR talks to him and says, "What do you want to do?" He says he wants him to beat MJF's ass. That's what you're looking for, because that's what he deserves. And Pillman Jr. is looking to do just that. And he talks about how himself and MJF are from different backgrounds, but he's no ordinary man, and MJF is stepping in the ring with a Pillman. And he talks about their varied backgrounds. The being served with the silver spoon of MJF, whereas he, even though he looks clean, he looks clean. He looks like he's all together. He looks like he's not there, but he says he's a feral. He's feral, and he's, I guess you're saying, he's wild, and he's unpredictable, things like that. Like, it's like, and I've seen Brian Pillman Jr. what he can do. The guy he could be even better than his father. That's a lot to say, but I think he has the potential to be better than his father. And he's taking them steps, and he's moving more and more out of that mid card, and possibly in the near future he might be a world title contender. But he's got to get past MJF. MJF ain't no joke. A lot of us hate him. A lot of us hate to love him. People love to hate him. It's like, whatever he is, that's what you got to take from MJF. He's just somebody who, that's who he is. He ain't gonna change for nobody. And that's gonna be a match I'll look forward to, just to see what Brian Pillman Jr. is gonna be able to do. If he's gonna be able to step out of that tag team thing that he's doing right now with his partner. And we'll see what happens with that. Now, Jurassic Express and Christian Cage, they have their answer to Adam Cole's challenge earlier, and they kind of roast the Elite. And Cage says that the Elite used their EVP status to drag Cole out of developmental. I was like, ouch. That's an NXT rib right there. And that NXT is, even though it's regarded as a third brand, but at the same time, it's developmental from the beginning. And that's pretty much what we're talking about. When I look at him, it's just like, yeah, because when you look at him, he's in the light of like I would have been like if he went to the main roster. But good thing he didn't go to the main roster. I don't know if any of you read what they were going to do with him in WWE. They were going to make him a manager to Keith Lee. The only thing I can say is that maybe that would have ended where he turns on Keith Lee and then becomes a main star on the main roster. But good thing he left. Maybe he was told that and said, no, thank you. Or maybe he had the forethought and the mindset to say, you know what, before they do anything wrong to me or they do something bad with my reputation, with my name, with my input, and what I want to be, I'm gonna get out of here and take AEW's offer. Good thing he did, and they were gonna do that with him. You imagine? But they accept Cole's earlier challenge. It mentions how Cole is used to losing Wednesday night, and well, how about Friday? The whole thing with the Wednesday night wars with with AEW Dynamite and NXT, and there really wasn't a war because AEW just established themselves. Eventually, they may have would have won, but then again, when you look at the ratings, yeah, they were beating them. What was it like? Sometimes it was 800,000 for AEW and 700,000 for NXT. At one time, AEW went up to about 900,000 some odd, and then then NXT was only at like 700,000. I mean, yeah, I think a few times they kind of beat them in the ratings. Did NXT, but AEW always had their number. So now he's on. According to them, hey, you're used to losing on Wednesday. How about on Friday? Because they're pretty much saying they're going to beat them on Friday. So we'll see what happens. Now, tag team action with FTR versus Matt Sydal and Dante Martin, who are not with their usual partners. Matt Sydal and his brother. Don't know what happened to him. And then Dante Martin, his partner. I think his partner's is injured. And I think maybe the same thing with Matt Sydal's brother. But JR. You got to unscramble your brains, Jim Ross, and say it right. You said RTF. You didn't say FTR. And then he said FTR later on. But, we make mistakes, especially the commentators. They make mistakes. We get it. We love JR. We love his what he's given and accomplished and what he has given to the wrestling community, wrestling world and the wrestling business, But makes mistakes. But okay. It's okay, I guess. And then we see a big rig that is delivered to as Dante Martin, who was all over the place and really putting in some great stuff. But he eats that big rig, and FTR pick up the victory. I like the the way that Dante Martin performs in the ring. I really, really want to see him continue to succeed, continue to be built up as a singles competitor. Yeah, he's got his tag team partner, sure, but his brother. But it's like I'd like to see him continue and maybe even go after the FTW title. No, because that's a bullshit title. I'm going after the TNT title, and maybe they should bring another title in, for the cruiserweight guys or the smaller guys. You know what I mean? That would be okay. Well, I guess the TNT title is kind of like the mid card title. So, but then I don't think they even treat it like a mid card title because there's some big major swingers that are competing. Major hitters. I say swingers, major hitters that are competing for the title. But you see a lot of guys who you wouldn't get maybe a world title shot, but they're getting title shots up there, which is a good thing. That's what's good about that type of a title. That the people that aren't going to get a shot at the world title, they get a shot at that title, and maybe that will even elevate them to the main event and go after the world title. But again, Dante Martin is on the receiving end of the L. He eats that L. Hopefully he'll learn from that and get better next week because he had a victory on Dark. So it's kind of like I'm sure he's looking for that victory, big time victory for on Dynamite. Now Minoru Suzuki, he felt slighted, and along with the Brutal Hawk Monster, they're going to take on Kingston and Mox at the Grand Slam, the Dynamite Grand Slam, however you say it. And I'll talk about Minoru Suzuki later on. Now, Malachi Black, who I hope doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Big fan. And been so since NXT, since WWE. And, with all these new signings, he has to, all these new signings that sometimes you may forget about them. But then in this segment, I don't think that we will because as he heads to the ring, his music's playing. I like his music, but then there's this yelling. What's that all about? I go, is it the entrance theme or is it an annoying fan? Because sometimes you got fans that one guy or one girl that just yells. But it was his theme. I may have to get used to it, or I might start getting annoyed, you know. And I really don't want nothing about Malachi Black to annoy me. But he's in there and he talks to his, you know, what was it? What did he say about? He calls his people, you know, and he talks about there is a sinner in the crowd. There's someone in the crowd that he wants to point out, and it's Rosario Dawson. I always like seeing her. I'm a fan of hers. The lovely Rosario Dawson. You know, she was on what shows was she's on? She played Ashoka Kano on The Mandalorian, and she's here. She's pointed out by Black, and she's wearing a Nightmare Family hoodie or just a sweatshirt. And as he's going up to her, down comes Cody through the crowd, and Rosario shows some guts and fortitude as she jumps on the back of Black and rides him and starts trying to choke him out. He kind of takes her down, gets her off of him, and then Cody comes in and gets him some, and they head out into the crowd, and it's all over the crowd. And there's one stairwell, going up, and they're just hitting each other, pounding each other, And before it ended, I love how one fan hands Black a beer. He just gets it, looks at it, goes, and then he obliges the fan and crowns Cody with it. It's like, I love that. That was hilarious. How he just casually just went, oh, yeah, sure, don't mind if I do. Crack. Well, Cody did that to him, too. So, what's good for the goose, right? It's good for the gander. And I like that segment. It was, I love the fact that Rosario Dawson was there, and she got her some of Black. Apparently, she's a member of the Nightmare family, I guess, or she's friends. Maybe she's friends with his wife, Brandy. Yeah, they got that, you know, that reality show coming up. So maybe Rosario Dawson appears there. Maybe we'll see her. I mean, just while you have tie-in, I'm sure. But let's move on. And Dark Order is out of order, and Anna Jay doesn't want them to at ringside in her match against the Bunny at Rampage if they can't get it together. What's going to happen? I mean, Alex Reynolds comes in, and Evil Uno's like, didn't I kick you out? Didn't you leave us? And then he goes, well, I came back to help Anna Jay, and then even you know they're all just getting into it. I'm like going, don't break these guys up. Don't even hint at it. This is one of the fun, one of the best factions they have. I love watching them. Their antics, before they were all serious and evil and all that stuff, and then now they're all fun loving, and it actually works. I love seeing it. But maybe it's time to bring some darkness back to the Dark Order. Maybe Malachi Black can let them see the dark side. You know what I'm saying? Just a suggestion. When they had the late great Brody Lee come in, they became a kick-ass. They became like, a threat, and people didn't want to deal with them. They look at it now. It's like, but I like it. I like what they're doing. But sometimes maybe they need a little bit of that darkness to come back into their fold, if you will. Now, Dan Lambert, he continues his tirade or tantrum against AEW, but I do agree with him somewhat. But is this a way to be the voice of those who criticize AEW? He talks a lot of stuff about that, talking about 149-pound guys who throw 20 to 30 super kicks and all the stuff that he brings up. It's like what people when they criticize AEW for what they're doing. Sometimes you want to do that to kind of take a jab at those fans that complain. I complained in the past, and I still do to an extent. But I kind of like Dan Lambert's doing. At first I'm like, who's this guy? And I hate who's that? He had Junior Dos Santos, and he had some other guys with him, and they have these two girls who. One of the names they mentioned was a girl. I'm trying to remember her name. I forget. They keep doing this stuff, and they keep going like that. I go, it doesn't work. You're not tough. You know what I mean? It's like the way they look. Because Junior Dos Santos and other guys were just kind of like that. They were kind of, even Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky were kind of like, egging them on. But the girls look kind of like they're just desperate. They're trying too hard to be tough. And I go, just sit there, stand there, fold your arms, and you look tough enough anyways. Like you don't have to do that thing. It didn't even look like it even like was natural. It's just like, this is what I got to do to be tough. That's what it looked like. I mean, they're tough probably. I'm sure they probably beat my ass, but Then Jericho comes out, interrupts Lambert, But then Lambert cuts him off, but then Jericho, he comes out, and then while he's talking, Jericho, cuts him off, much to what is it? The crowd. I'm trying to remember, the crowd cut. Sometimes my notes, I swear, it turns into makes it goes. It's like it has a life of its own. Right, there you go. Jericho, he came out, and then Lambert cuts Jericho off, but then Jericho cuts off Lambert, and it's met with the light of the crowd. And there's a trade of insults, and Jericho then says, "Which one of your team is on top?" You know, kind of saying that these guys are in bed together. Like, is there something going on there? And then I'm wondering, is Hager on path to face Dos Santos? Because Dos Santos, of course, is a mixed martial arts artist. We know that. So is Hager, or any of the other members in the of the Team America, wasn't he? I think. Oh, that's the Team America, isn't that? That's the name of the Matt Parker and Trey Stone, or Trey Parker and Matt Stone's that puppet thing that they had. But is he looking to probably they're looking to make him face one of those guys? But I like when Jericho was saying that they would chant your theme song. I like when they were chanting his theme song, and then what do you call it, cut him off, and then they continued singing, and then much to Jericho's delight. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Because my notes, I'm telling you, what the fuck is wrong with my notes? And then ends up that there's a challenge, and then Jericho and Hager accept the challenge, and they will face Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. I mean, those guys are gonna have to contend with Jericho and Hager. Now the Gun Club, they talk about how does the win loss records matter? Well, they don't think so, because this is what they said. Billy Gunn says that they're undefeated as a tag team, whether it be Billy and his son Austin, or Billy and his son Colton, or even his sons Austin and Colton as a tag team, and heck, even as a trios team, they're undefeated. And well, they said now respect will be earned, and if anyone has a problem, just say when. And I didn't know that. I didn't realize that, because I don't watch Dark, so I don't know, because they're on Dark all the time, pretty much, and they're always winning. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing I always say about AEW, is that they got the win-loss record thing, they got the rankings, but then why is it that they have Casino Battle Royale that gives someone a number one contender shot? They have all these other things that give these guys a number one contender shot, but then yet they keep talking about someone who's number one. Oh, he's the number one ranked guy. Hangman Page was that for the longest time, right? He ends up, of course, he lost that one, a 10-man tag that they had, the elimination tag, and he lost his ability to be the number one. He lost that, and then Christian came up, took that spot, and of course he won the Impact Championship from what do you call it? He didn't win the AEW title, but he won the Impact Championship from Omega. That's what I've always said. Like, Hikaru Shida was number one contender for 11 weeks, and then she finally got her title shot. And she was number one contender, and then people like 2 or 3 or 4 people, and there's even a title change, if I'm not mistaken, from Rio to Nia Rose. Like, it's gotta matter. You know what I mean? It's just just don't say that you're boasting that you want wins and losses matter, and then you don't give a person who's undefeated a shot. Have these guys never have gotten a shot? That's kind of shameful, But let's move on. Mark Sterling, or Smart Mark, he wasn't smart enough when to avoid a suicide dive by Layla Hirsch, or legit Layla Hirsch, as he faces the undefeated 13-0 Jade Cargill. 13-0, very impressive. And I'm telling you, Layla is really taking it to Cargill. She really is a good wrestler. And she's no joke. She's a diminutive. She's small, but she's got a lot of dynamite in that small package of hers. And she really was taking it to Jade Cargill. I think this is the most that I've ever seen Jade Cargill struggle. you know. But then she makes the mistake. There's Layla Hirsch. She misses a moonsault press, and Jay connects with a pump kick and delivers that move. And I would call a glam slam because that's what it is called, but I'm sure she doesn't call it. I think they said the name, but I didn't catch it fully. I'm like, what was that? But nonetheless, Cargill gets the victory, and she moves on. And they're building her up, I'm pretty sure, to face the women's world champion, whoever that is going to be. You know, Ruby Soho, maybe she's going to win, and then Jade Cargill's going to target her. We'll see. But I don't think they're going to take it off of her just yet. Now, Andrade tells Jose, his assistant, why he interrupted his match last week against Pac. He doesn't need that. He didn't need to do that. You know, the match was on Rampage, and then Jose says that Chavo, and he cuts him off. There's Andrade and says, Chavo says, I'm the boss. You know, I'm the kingpin. He said he could beat Pac and anybody in AEW. And I guess he was sent packing was Chavo, and I don't think that he even fit in that. Even when he was with Andrade, it was with Vicky Guerrero. It was an odd fit too. So I like him by himself. The only thing about him is that his English is still a little bit, still is improving, but it's a little bit still kind of shaky. Like he needs to someone to be a voice for him. I mean, they're talking about Ric Flair. They were like, you know, I mean, he was with him, I think, in NW. Was that NWA when he was with or AAA? Oh, it was AAA, yeah. That Ric Flair was on his by the side of his. I guess at this point, I'm thinking he's only Charlotte's fiance right now. People keep saying that his wife Charlotte. Some people will say that. And I'm going, did he get married? I mean, maybe they did. We just don't know about it. But you know, he was there. Maybe bring him to AEW. Maybe he'll be a better voice for him. Now, Taz confronts Punk, who says he didn't know that they allowed trolls to cross the bridge. Across the bridge. That's pretty funny. And is Punk trying to take Taz's job? I mean, that's what Taz says. That's what Taz is saying. And then they sneak attack Punk, and Hook, locks him in, Punk into a Dragon Sleeper. And then Hobbs hits him again as he hit him before. And then Hobbs sends Punk through the table. No, well, he sent him into the table, and the table kind of slid over, and then Punk fell over. I am the table. Like, I can't wait to see that spot. Oh, that botch on Botchamania. And if I'm not wrong, I thought I saw the curtain kind of move behind Punk when he was sitting down. And I'm thinking Hobbs was there, and he just couldn't keep from moving the curtain. He couldn't stay back a little bit. Like, what was he, too anxious to make his appearance? You know what I, you know what I mean? It's just like I'm going. That curtain's moving. Who's behind that curtain? I guess it's going to be somebody from Team Taz that's going to attack her, and it was. But let's move on as Sean Spears, the chairman, addresses Darby, and he says, yes, he is generic and a piece of shit, as Darby called him last week. And he talks about saying that the chairman cometh, and then we see him on stage with the music and the hood on, and he's sitting on a chair with the spotlight on him. And then he talks about, he did talk about before that happens, he talked about handing Darby his first loss in AEW. They show that, and he looks to repeat it again. And in this match, pretty physical. I liked a lot of the spots, a lot of step shots. You know what I mean? Spots, I should say. Step spots. Spots for the steps. Even Spears hit his knee, exposed knee, because he pulled down the thing, and that's how you use that to protect your knee. But he was expecting to hit Darby, whose head was up against the steps, and he ends up slamming his open bare knee into it. That hurt. I know that didn't feel too good. And a lot of back and forth, a lot of offense. I liked it. These guys detailed pretty good. I liked their match. But in the end, coffin drop onto the spine of Spears. Usually it's on the gut. Usually it's on the hitting the person as he is looking up, not looking down. And Darby gets a little payback, and he gets the win. But FTR, they call me attack Darby and Sting, and Tully attempts to nail Sting with a chair. He does, but it only angers the Icon. And as he takes it to Blanchard, FTW join their mentor and beat on Sting, who receives a spike pile driver, and it hurt me. when I see that, I know Sting is stronger than anybody knows. I know that he is pretty healed up. He's not. He probably was never even that bad. I think WWE has a reputation for keeping people from. They could have clearance from all their doctors, but their doctors, if they don't clear you, I think that's what people are rumoring about Brian, that Daniel Bryan or here Brian Danielson. He actually was actually cleared, meaning that he could have wrestled, but the doctors at WWE didn't allow him to wrestle, which is a bunch of crap if that was really the case. So Sting is stronger than we let on, or we are led on to believe, because he takes that. He took that. The first real bump he took was that power bomb from Brian Cage. So that definitely proved that he was good to go. You know what I mean? But he's 62 years old, maybe 63 now. So he's not going to be able to take too many of those, even if he is healed up and not really injured, because he's getting older. Now, let's move on. The Wrestling Observer Hall of Famer. I didn't know that the American Dragon Daniel Bryanson, or Daniel Bryanson, Daniel Bryanson, Brian Danielson is, and he's confronted by Don Callis and Omega. Same old garbage spewing out of the mouth of the Cardi piece of shit, as Christian Cage called Don Callis. And Danielson wants to speak to Omega. He even told him, "Shut the fuck up, shut the hell up. I'm here to talk about him, talk to Omega." And here he's talking about how it's not about the title, says Daniel Bryanson. That's later, but it's about who is the best. And then Callis gets shut down by Bryan again because he tried to talk. He says, "I want to talk to Omega." And then he says now he came to the AEW to fight the best bout machine. I thought I heard it. I thought I heard it best belt machine. I'm thinking, what does that mean? But best bout machine, okay. The god of professional wrestling. But since he's been here, all he's seen is a guy who hangs out with a bunch of stooges. I totally agree. And who lets this piece of shit, pointing to Don Callis, speak for him. And the crowd chant piece of shit, over and over again. And Danielson doesn't believe Omega has lost his confidence. That's the rumor that he says. Or that he's lost a step. No, he believes Omega lost his balls. Daniel Bryan really is stirring the pot. And, you know. So what do you say, says Danielson to Omega, yes or no? Omega's response, say what you want. So you say you want the best bout machine. You say you want the god of professional wrestling. And my answer is yes. So he accepts his challenge, and much to the dismay of Don Callis, it ain't up to him. It's up to Omega, and he accepts it. So that's going to be a great match, and it's already set up for the Grand Slam next week. So let's see what happens when they face each other. I believe it's on Rampage. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of announcements. You got Dynamite and Grand Slam, Dynamite Grand Slam, and Rampage Grand Slam. So now Miro, about earlier, he accepts Fuego del Sol's challenge, and he promises to smash Fuego del Sol and his car. So I hope that Fuego del Sol has a rental agreement, or he has a backup car, because he may not have that car much longer. Now, let's talk more action is the tagline of Rampage. Now, well, it's only an hour, so there really is no room for talk, right? But Dynamite is a talk fest lately. And didn't AEW say before they established themselves that they would be less talk and more action? And I've been seeing a lot of talk segments. Every time somebody's done wrestling, or even before they wrestle, gets the mic. Sometimes you see in the ring, oh, here comes Tony Schiavone with an interview. I go, okay. Oh, here's Tony Schiavone backstage. I'm going, how many times are you going to talk to people? You promised action. Less talk and more action. Now they tag that, they slap that on Rampage, but Rampage is only an hour. Of course, you're gonna have more action or less talk. Nobody wants to watch an hour even of just talking. You're gonna cram it with wrestling, of course, 4 or 5 matches. But now Kingston and Moxley versus 2.0. I like how they do, how they write it out. It's 2, then a point, spelled out POINT, and then O. And then Jeff Parker and Matt Lee, I finally got their names. I might forget them next week because I'm still just getting used to them, because they used to be Everrise in NXT. They're different here, but they attacked their opponents before the bell, and look like they got things under control. But then Jeff Parker gets taken out in the end with a violent crown as Mox clotheslines while Kingston snapped Germans, and that gets them the victory. But we then see Minoru Suzuki appear. He feels disrespected because of last week, how his entrance music was cut off, refs were against him, everybody was against him. But then Lance Archer appears and he pulls Kingston down and out of the ring, and all four men battle into the ring. Battle into the ring. Battle. They were in the ring. They battled ringside, and they battled into the crowd. Mox even got almost gotch pile driven, and then he took the mic and jammed it into Minoru Suzuki's eye, and so it's going to be a physical tag team match these guys are going to have next week. And I forget which show, whether it be Rampage or Dynamite, but that doesn't matter to me because I'll definitely be watching, and whatever show it is, I'm definitely going to keep my eye on this match. I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be violent, it's going to be physical, and of course, look at the four men that are involved. You know, they ain't going to sit around at a table and drink tea and eat crumpets. They're going to beat each other's brains in. And if it's going to mirror what Minoru Suzuki and Mox did in their match, one-on-one match, it's going to be, like the great JR says, it's going to be a slobber knocker. And I'm going to be there, not personally, but I'll definitely be here sitting down and watching it. But anyway, I've kind of rode a little bit too long on this. This is about probably the longest I've ever done a video. But a lot to talk about when it comes to Dynamite tonight. But anyway, that's my video. So for those of you who stopped by and checked it out, appreciate it. And in closing, as always, take care.